Hi, I'm E.D. Lewis, and welcome back to my channel, E.D. Lewis Reviews. Before we get started with this video, please hit that like button and that subscribe button, and, hit that little bell. And if you'd like to follow me on, social media, Instagram, Twitter, Bookbub, Goodreads, Wattpad, all that information is down below in the, description. Also, if you're interested in any of my writings, they are listed on my official, I'm mixing words up a little bit here, on my Amazon page. And also, don't forget to visit the official Facebook page of my novel, The Curse of Ridge House. So please check that out, and please give that a like. And please also hit like on this video, and please leave a comment, because I love, to read the comments and stuff. And if I'm acting a little self-conscious, I actually have the screen facing me for this one because I thought this video would be easier this way, but it's making me really self-conscious seeing myself on the camera and talking like that. So I'm trying to ignore it a little bit. So anyway, for this video, I'm doing something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and that's a bookshelf tour. This is actually part one because my physical bookshelf is not ready for a tour yet, but I'm going to do my Kindle library. So these are all the books I have in my Kindle library, and my official, my physical bookcase or bookshelf will be, tour will be sometime soon, because we're actually in the process of getting ready to move, and so then I'll be redoing my bookshelf. And also my bookshelf is in need of some TLC. So yeah. it's overflowing my library, and there's just no way for me to really give a bookshelf tour. So anyway, so moving on. This is my library divided up into categories. I will be turning it sideways so you can see it a little better as we go. But I have everything divided up into classics, comics, Gothic Romance, horror, romance, and nonfiction. Now, some of these things do cross genres, but I decide to put, like, any of, like, for example, the Gothic classics. They're in the classics section. And the Gothic horror is in the horror section. So I kept Gothic Romance just pretty much Gothic Romance. So I was going to do regular romance, but I don't have a regular romance section. So all my romance is either Gothic Romance or classic or romance. And there's a few nonfiction. So let's get started. Let's go with classics first. It's not very big. We're going to go with landscape mode here. And so I have, here's my classics that I have on here: Jane Eyre, A Christmas Carol, The Monk, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and The Picture of Dorian Gray. So, yep. Some of these you may recognize I've done reviews on. Actually, all these except this one. So, I'm planning on doing something with that sometime soon. Sometime in the near future. So that's my classic section. Next, I have another small section, and that's comics. There is a graphic novel, though, that I have in the Gothic Romance section, but I'll get to that. So I just got, some Archie comics, a little bit of the new, more modern Jughead series, and Sherlock Holmes Year One. So, with Sherlock Holmes Year One, I got like halfway through it, and I just have not picked it back up yet. I will finish it eventually, and I haven't even really gotten into the Jughead. I think I just read the preview for it and purchased it. And the Archies is just a bunch of, just short Archie stories, so those are more leisurely readings anyway, when I get to them. Now we're going to the Gothic Romance, which, this is it in long ways. And so, I'm not going to go through every book, but, of course we have, Dark Shadows Year One. That's a graphic novel, but Dark Shadows is Gothic Romance, so I put it under there. this actually fit in the Romance as well as Gothic Romance. There's a Dracula book. It's a retelling of Dracula. I haven't gotten that far. I've read this one, but I have not done a review on it yet. I'm waiting to do a review maybe later this month or early next month, because it's well, I have a reason for that, so we'll get to that. So there's a little Dorothy Eden. Practical Magic, I'll be doing that at some point. Of course, I've done this, you know, Wittershins, great book. There's a little Victoria Holt in here. There's my book, The Curse of Ridge House, the sample of it anyway. Gothic Romance I've done. Of course, I've done Cousin Beeves, a great book too, by R. St. Clair. Little shout out there to R. St. Clair. There'll be a couple other shout outs. These ones. Oh look, it's time for another shout out. C.G. Twiles, best man on the planet. Just actually did that's my not my most recent review, my other most recent review, the second most recent review I did, and one of the two different sequels. Well, I guess there's many sequels to Dracula, but one of the sequels to Dracula, and there's a Phyllis A. Whitney book. So let's see. Out of all these that I've read all the way through. I mean, Eidolon. Shit. Yes, I know, I just cussed, I'm sorry. I don't make these videos for kids anyway. Did not mean to do that. But I've read Eidolon. And of course I've read Wittershins and Practical Magic. Gothic Romance. Of course I've read my book. And Cousin B. And Best Man on the Planet. So, yeah. All of which are great books, so I highly recommend all those books all the ones I've read. I actually meant to read the Dark Shadows one around Halloween, I just didn't get to it. This is my horror section. It's not as big, and this has and a lot of this is Gothic horror. And at least one paranormal romance, at least, anyway. Here's several haunting books. There's the book I'm currently reading. One of the books I'm currently reading. And I actually have this on, Kindle edition. I have a paperback too, and I keep flipping back and forth whatever's more convenient for me to be, reading from at the time. So I have to keep up. Like if I read in the paperback, I have to jump and mark it in the Kindle. If I read in the Kindle, I have to, find where I am in the paperback and mark it there. And this is a series of books right here. This is like the first 4 in a series. I have not read them, so there's a whole bunch of these haunting books, and they're by different authors. Not all of them are the same author. So that's the only Kindle Anne Rice book I have, which I have almost. That's the last one that she came out with in the Vampire Chronicles, and I think it's the shortest. I have it actually in hardback somewhere, signed copy actually. Can't remember where I have it. This one's a recent edition I got, and it's a paranormal romance shifter novel. It's a YA book. It's a young adult novel. And of course, there's some more books. This is the Dark Hollows Chronicles by R. St. Clair, which I have. The first one is actually on my TBR, so I'm planning on reading that sometime soon. Fashion Victims, again, R. St. Clair. She's getting a lot of shout-outs, and that was unintentional. And another one of her more recent, releases. And another C.G. Twiles book, one I've not read yet, but it's on the agenda at some point. I mean, all these books are on the agenda. It's just so many books, and, so that one, I guess, is possibly more of a thriller, but I consider it, probably to be kind of horror and thriller, so, like a domestic thriller, or domestic horror, even. So, and then I have my Romance books. None of my sections are very big. That's just how I categorize them. See, it doesn't go very far. Of course, some of these I've already read. Some of these I just opened, like that one I just have only opened. But I read Football Sunday already. This is a collection. It's like a series, a whole series. It was really cheap. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to check that out. That was the first Kindle book I ever got. And I read it in 2 nights. 1 or 2 nights. There's another one of my books. Actually, it's a short story by me. Along with the Professor. I've read Bitten. It was the first book in a series, and with me in series, it's hard for me to keep up on series. On this trilogy, although they're not interconnected, different characters every time, I've read the first 2. I haven't read the third one yet. And they're really, really short. And then I read Gavin and Me. I haven't read Michael and Me, though. So. Anyway, that's my Romance section. Which actually, that Gavin and Me and Michael and Me are actually by an independent author also, Harry F. Ray, and you can find him on Instagram too, by the way. And he's got... Oh, he also did the Cruising Chronicles. I haven't read that one either. So, it's not just Romance, it's also it's kind of erotica too, so, you know. And then my last section is my nonfiction section, which is really, really short. So... I have a lot of nonfiction that's in, hardback version, but not paperback. I mean, paperback or hardback version, not Kindle. But I have Let's Get Digital. It's a book about independent publishing. I have not even cracked it open. I feel really bad about that. And then this one about Goddess is called A Little Bit of Goddess. It's part of that Little Bit of series, and I love those books. And I actually saw this when I was on vacation. In the late spring, early summer. I went to go see my partner's folks and stay with them for a bit. I saw it in the bookstore. I think it was Barnes and Noble. Yeah, it was in Barnes and Noble, and I was like, ooh, I'd really like to get that. It was $10, and I was kind of limiting myself on how much I could spend, so I didn't get it. And I was like, well, I'm gonna see if I can find a Kindle version. I found the Kindle version cheaper, so, but I have a couple of those books in hardback. Not everything in my physical library will I have on my shelves. I have some books that I will actually keep separate, and I don't know if I'll tour those, though. Those are, more spiritual. A lot of those are more spiritual books and stuff. You'll be mostly seeing, like, my fiction section, like, probably, like, horror and, my gothic horror, gothic romance, gothic mystery, everything gothic. Not many of my nonfiction will I be probably showing in that. And I used to have a bunch of mysteries that was Agatha Christie, and I got rid of a bunch of them, too. Not because I don't like Agatha Christie. I love Agatha Christie, and I love to read Agatha Christie. It's just, we're going to shut this off. It's just that, it was at a point when I had a bunch of duplicates, and I got rid of a bunch, and I think I got rid of more than I meant to. But, Agatha Christie's usually pretty easy to come by, and, I like the vintage copies, so, I can always get duplicates, later on, so, anyway. You probably won't see any of those, though, so, I mean, I do have some of them, but, I don't know where some of them went. I'm pretty sure I didn't get rid of all of them. I'm sure they got stored somewhere. I just don't know where, so. Anyway, I'll find them. I might find them someday. Anyway, that's all I have for you for my bookshelf tour. I will have on Instagram a before picture of my bookshelf, like what it looks like currently, because I'm about to actually tear it down. And what it looks like when I'm done with it, like right before my bookshelf tour video part 2, or right after, I'm not sure. So I'll show a comparison of, photo 1, photo 2, before, after, so. Anyway, that's all I've got for you for today. Yeah, it's just kind of short, so, stay safe, stay warm, and, just make it through, this really continuously weird and crazy times that we live in. So, keep strong mentally and, hopeful. It's, all we can do, really. And escape into books and movies, because those are great escapes. And they're usually fairly cheap entertainment. So, anyway. I'll see you next time on my channel. So, if only this had been a review, it would have been Nocturnal. So, anyway. Have a good evening, good day, whenever you're seeing this, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.